Every year in our community, youth in care of the Children's Aid Society who complete high school and want to pursue a post-secondary education are faced with many hurdles. Most, having no families to rely on for assistance, must support themselves. While having to focus on daily living, the thought of post-secondary education often gets put on the back burner. With the help of the Sudbury Manitoulin Children's Foundation Bursary program, the dream of a post-secondary education can become a reality for many of these young adults.
Almost a century ago, one of the founders of the Child Welfare Services of Ontario had a vision to establish the Children's Aid Societies, not to take children away from their families, but to promote, to encourage and persuade better parenting. In short, to make better mums and dads. The Sudbury Manitoulin Children's Foundation was formed in 1976, and with its hugely successful Send a Kid to Camp campaign, created a bursary in 2003. A bursary to provide financial assistance for youth in care and former youth in care of the local Children's Aid Society, that these young people may continue and complete their post-secondary school educations. With a jurisdiction of almost 50,000 square kilometers, helping almost 50,000 young people, the Sudbury Manitoulin Children's Foundation has one of the largest geographic areas in Ontario. And in Northern Ontario, there are some real challenges. Lower incomes, higher unemployment, less educational experience, shift change due to industrial settings, and of course, poor lifestyle decisions with regard to smoking and drinking.
The Canadian Council of Social Development is highly regarded for its research in the area of child poverty. They have been examining how children can be provided with the opportunity to succeed, not just to be fed and sheltered. In our country, a successful adult is often defined as a person who is in good health, has refined social and learning skills, and is well prepared for entry into the labor market. In order to obtain these core ingredients, children need economic resources, adequate shelter, access to health care, quality child care, and adequate schooling.
Our area is polarized between the haves and the have-nots. The haves have jobs and the have-nots are unemployed. Unfortunately for the have-nots, many of them have less education. And so when they do find employment, many times it's at minimum wage. It's important for us to recognize that 14% of the people who live in this area have less than a grade 9 education.
The ever-soaring cost of tuition, books, and other education requirements facing these young adults is frustrating, to say the very least. Without families to rely upon, these young people are forced to support themselves and to pay for their education through part-time work and student loans. By the time they graduate, most are already in serious debt. Bursaries will certainly alleviate some of the financial burden, as well as support continued educational studies. This provides an opportunity for breaking the educational trend of abuse, unemployment, and welfare dependency. Without a doubt, education is one of the most effective ways of ending the destructive cycle that unfortunately characterizes over 450 children in the care of the local CAS.
The social and health issues in our districts are very distressing. Sudbury remains among the top 5 Canadian cities with the highest unemployment rate. High unemployment and soaring teenage pregnancy rates are placing more children and families at risk. Child and youth poverty is a growing concern in the city of Greater Sudbury and district of Manitoulin. Almost 40% of the children under the age of 6 are in low-income families, and poverty levels for preschool children are more than 6 times the rate for youth 18 years of age and older.
Research conducted by the Children's Aid Society tells us that abused and neglected children rarely finish their education beyond high school. Those in care who wish to pursue post-secondary education often face overwhelming financial challenges. The Children's Ministry tells us that a full 37% of young offenders have not completed grade 9. Without opportunity or a vision for their own future, young people are prone to continue to make mistakes that will impact them for the rest of their lives.
There are 2 types of ward status. Society Ward, where the court has determined that it is in the child's best interest to be placed in the care and custody of a society for a specified period of time. And Crown Ward, which involves cases where the court believes that it's in the child's best interest to make the child a permanent ward. Under this order, the society exercises the rights and responsibilities of a parent for purposes of child care, custody, and control.
Growing up in care, I often dreamt about becoming a lawyer. The one thing I was worried about, though, was the financial aspect of being able to pursue my career. I often wondered if my dreams could ever come true.
Quality care involves helping those in care like myself to become a healthy and independent adult. A big part of this is being able to pursue my education. Education is the key to success.
Collectively, we have a responsibility to ensure that positive futures are built for these young adults. Post-secondary education is one of the keys that will open many doors for these young people.
With the aid of a bursary, young people are going to have the opportunity not only to pursue, but to be able to complete their post-secondary school studies. And with such an opportunity, hopefully in the future, there will be less handouts because of this very important handout.
The goal and objective of the Sudbury Manitoulin Children's Foundation is to ensure that every ward and former ward of the CAS receives the encouragement and financial support required to achieve academic success. They will then have the opportunity to establish themselves as contributing members of our society. With the Sudbury Manitoulin Children's Foundation Bursary program, these bright young adults can break the generational pattern of abuse, unemployment, and welfare dependency. Helping these kids now with an education is an investment in our youth, an investment in Canada's future.